Championship, the Grow World Championship, about to take that start. Who's going to get that fast start out and away? You can see the riders quickly clipping in. Peter Sagan takes a little bit of a look down, maybe didn't hit that quite as smoothly as he would have hoped, as the big pack, 140 riders, head out and away. And as they go alongside the rail lines, that snake compresses itself around those turns. Is anybody going to put in an early push for glory? We have to see our little bridge over the top of the railway tunnel, that little bit of a chicane in and around, and a lot of the riders won't be used to going straight into a climb like this, because this is the first kick up. You see the wall on your left hand side, so it turns in to the porticos, and in between those road bars to go. Porticos on our left, the riders right, that amazing corner going up with the vaulted ceilings underneath, running right from the base of the hill right to the top, and the riders spread across the road. Now, where it's lighter, that is the smaller gravel at the edges. There's more dirt and debris. You can see the spectators packing the edges as they come up this raised roadway. It maintains a steady gradient right to the top. It's absolutely stunning, but at the moment the riders are focusing on the wheels of the riders in front and heading them up at the moment, you can see. And it is going to be Kort Nielsen leading out. Magnus Kort Nielsen, a man known for his attacking, aggressive style. He goes up from the gun, but look at the number of blue jerseys there from the Italian squad. And the Italians are really pushing the numbers up now. Right-hand turn coming up as those motorbikes sweep slightly to the left and then around to the right. And this really does characterize the racing. We see a lot of almost dead turns actually out on the course a little bit further in. So that's when you're going to get compression and expansion in that bunch as they very quickly start to push up onto the climb. And at the moment, Marco Gazzola of Italy leading the group. But look at this. You can just see in that light orange colour is Matthew van der Poel just pulling up onto the side of Kort Nielsen. And the rider there just out of the saddle, pulling hard on those bars. So he's not the smallest of riders, but it means he's got some upper body strength to move that bike around. A regular mountain biker, a rider who we've seen compete in everything from the Olympic mountain bikes to the World Cups, the World Championship. Amazing rider all round. Question is, has he got the power to hold it today? And look at this quick attack coming. Well, it's early days. There's two major climbs on the way through, three in total on the way out of the hills here around the slopes of Vicenza. As they come up towards the top, it's Miguel Angel Lopez who started to try and push clear here as we go around the sanctuary for the Madonna de Monte Barrico. So the sanctuary to the Madonna on Monte Barrico is the top of this climb. They sweep the way in and around the side of this stunning building. The slopes here, the source of the river that they're going to be following all the way down out of Vicenza. That's the Baglioni River that rises on its northern slopes, works its way through Vicenza, then heads down in towards Padua or Padova, depending on how you would like to pronounce it. We're going to try and use both here today. So as the riders start to make their way out the Citadella itself, rather than heading out into the surrounding countryside, these two leaders still looking good, 5 minutes 38. Now, tactics between these two, well, they're going to have to keep riding at the moment. They know the power and the pace of the group are behind. Gianni Vermeersch's got a good sprint on him. I've seen Gianni sprint before. He's a rider who we know has got some serious kick. He's a rider who can lead out for others. He's a rider who can ride very, very well over long distances or well. And he's also a rider who's got some serious miles in his legs this season. His season on the road, starting back on the UAE Tour back in February, running right the way through. In fact, his last race was only on the 4th of October. That's the Bianchi, the Frank van den Broek Memorial, where he was racing. But a busy week for him with the Famen Ardennes Classic as well. Now, the leading riders long gone. The group behind is fractured all over the road. A motorbike taking the chance to go up alongside the riders. He's going past, I think, Toby Perry, just seen on the right-hand side of the group, just coming up here on the back of this group as they come in. Well, the motorbike's managed to make a little bit of ground. He's just sitting immediately behind Micah Mikel Stanja of Slovenia in that green jersey. But there are groups even further up the road, and is moving out of the way. Very smart move here by the bikes. The experienced pilots practicing, making sure that they did a recce of this course. And speaking to the team, they were out on the course for a couple of days before the start of the race, making sure that they knew every twist and turn, every lump and bump on the way through. He's met a lot of the riders actually when they were out on course practice as well. Not all the riders managing to get the course down first time. A number of riders getting lost, in fact, in Vicenza on the way through. But hopefully our riders won't have any problems this time. Now, we talked about Gianni Vermeersch having a good sprint. Os no more for his long distance riding, for his long distance attacks. A rider who, of course, has ridden races like the Tour de France. His season started back in February as well in the Saudi Tour. Been through the Marathon de Var, through the classic season, finished the Paris-Roubaix. 8th in the Italian Championships before heading to the Tour de France, and his best stage finish 23rd there up in Denmark on the road from Roskilde to Nyborg. But late in the season, riding a very similar program with the Femmes Classic and the Chemin Bianchi race, putting the Tour Poitou-Charentes as well. And it's an area I know well. He did that in August, but that is an area well suited to training for this. Very similar roads, very similar profile. The hills of the Dordogne to the south that you can go hit, and then a big flat plains in between with very dusty gravel roads. And I think that will have been good preparation, at least in terms of altitude gain, even if it wasn't great in terms of practicing riding on the gravel. And it adds another dimension. If you think you can ride 190k on the road, so gravel will be easy, think again. This, one of the less technical courses. It's definitely one with smaller stones and rocks, but there's no mud on the course because of the dry weather we've been having. But even so, it is so much harder than riding on the tarmac. The speed difference is huge. The amount of power that you need to push out and the amount of work you need to do with your body to stabilise the bike is so much less on the tarmac. Any weaknesses, any niggles, any injuries at the back end of a road season, anything that you've maybe got wrong in practice for the cyclocross season, any top 450 there, the motorbike behind. The motorbike riders not having official time checks on the way through. The riders used to that on the road, and they know the TV crews really well to pester them and try and find out the information from them. So taking that left-hand turn round goes the bunch. Interesting that we've got our Austrian rider on the back here. That's Moran Vermeulen. Just to the back of this group, the riders at the back not able to make the way up through past the riders in front. Nobody's going to give up position very easily. These two, though, you can see Vermeersch just takes the wider line, goes out to take a wide line now. Nothing to say. Our riders have to stay to the gravel. You can see a beaten track there around that corner, and that is where you might well see riders go and take a different line. It's a risky line, but it cuts the corner, and there's no tape to say they can't do that, but it's a gamble. And will we see anybody do that as they come onto one of these rougher sections here? And you can see the riders just trying to search out some smooth sections. When it's dusty, the dust will settle. It'll form you a little bit smoother sections, sometimes where the grass grows down into the rocks and it binds together the surface. It can be that little bit smoother, but every now and then, if you pick that grass line, you won't see a big hole or a big stone. And it's always a gamble. You ride along thinking to yourself, where should I be? Should I be on this? And that's what's going to be going through the minds of riders. How can I maximise my speed? What is the safest line? How can I get my bike to this finish in one piece? This rough section the riders are on, 4.5 minutes after them, our pack are going to hit it. And that's going to be a whole different game in a bunch of 40 to 50 riders coming in to this section. And remember, this is just lap number 1 of 2 around the Citadella here on the 2022 Gravel World Championships. The UCI first embracing the World Championships and extending it to the gravel discipline. And of course, we've seen lots of new disciplines joining, things like esports and being hosted by Zwift, with, of course, joining the more traditional cycling disciplines like road and time trial, the track. We've got mountain bike, of course, involved. We saw the XCE Eliminator World Championships in Barcelona not all that long ago. We've got the World Track Championships taking place next week as well. So lots of disciplines all covered by the UCI, the governing body, and this is the first of the UCI World Championships, which has really come on the back of a massive explosion of development and probably, I think, a worldwide understanding that what most people actually ride is gravel. Most people in the world ride wherever they can. That's not on the fastest, slickest, super quick main roads. It's on the tracks, the trails. They go out and explore. They go out with their friends and they chat. And you can listen to somebody who's come from a mountain bike and adventure background, somebody like Rebecca Rush, who a lot of people know from the Blood Road film and the work she's done with the Be Good charity. Well, what Rebecca Rush found when she went out and rode, she really was going out and riding on gravel. It was why you get into it in the first place, is going out and having fun. And are now inducted into the Gravel Hall of Fame, and great to see that she is on the Gravel Hall of Fame, and quite rightly so, and actually went to accept that by riding there with a whole group of friends. What better way to make your way in and get a part of history, and it's history today that's going to be set. We saw our first women's champion crowned yesterday, the first of those medals handed out to our women elite riders. We're going to see the men's elite riders being crowned now. Will it be one of these two riders? It's looking more and more likely. Never discount the power of a bunch behind, never discount the power of a pack behind, but it's not excessively windy. Remember, the wind speeds here are low. They're talking 13 kilometers an hour. That is about 8, even out the corner of his eye. And is Vermeesh doing the smart thing that you see cyclocross riders doing? Only practicing lines when they're behind other riders, where the other rider can't see the line that they're taking. Certainly Vermeesh, one of the regulars who we know has got some serious time on the cross bike. He's got some very good skills that will help him when we go around those tight turns. The other thing that will help on the tight turns, on the ramparts, on the descent and the tight right, and then that right and climb, is that they are very similar to a cross turn that you see on cyclocross, and Vermeesh is a smaller rider. Now, the wheelbase of the bike, the length of the bike, will affect how that handles, as does the head angle of the bike, so the angle that the forks and the front wheels stick out in front. Generally, a gravel bike is slightly more slacker angled than a cyclocross bike. It doesn't turn quite as quick, it's more stable and it's more comfortable, which means that you get less fatigue. However, the smaller rider has the advantage that his centre of gravity is also going to be lower. He's going to be able to push around that corner and should be able to corner quicker. Not always the case. There are some very tall riders who have some incredible skills when it comes to descending. They don't all need to be as diminutive as Tom Pidcock, and a rider whose skin suit is actually hung on my wall, actually in the studio here. And generally, in fact, I think his skin suit's probably not actually the same size as my torso on its own, his entire skin, so he is that small. Some of the bigger riders can corner just as well, but who's tired? Who's got the ability to keep the pace? Interesting to see aero bar there on the bike of Vermeesh, the aerofoil section cutting through the wind that little bit easier, and the handlebar there of Os. So just going alongside our stateside rider, that's going to be one of our age group riders. All of the riders, the pros and the amateurs, setting off. They're all on the course on the same day. And the age group with the high numbers and the green number on the side, they're denoting their age group. And it does mean that the riders have to be adept at going around other riders. So if you're used to riding in a crit or overtaking, then you're going to find it easier. If you know how to handle by getting bumped and barged with other riders, that's going to help if you do get tangled up. Hopefully all of the lap riders will move out of the way. You just hear the wind blowing across our bike at the moment, and it certainly shows the riders again hugging that right hand side once again. There's going to be more shelter from the wind as it blows over the top of the buildings. It blows over those hedgerows, it'll swirl around. If you stay tight underneath the buildings, you've less chance of getting caught in that, but you're still subjected to it as you go past each of these entranceways. So less than 30k to go here at the men's elite, the World Gravel Champ. the width of the asphalt of the tarmac comes down. You start to see grass growing out in the middle. This is a real mat track. This is the family name for anything that should be ridden on a gravel bike or a mountain bike, but you go down on any bike you've got with you. And at the moment, this is a proper mat track. It's really rough. It goes to single track. You've got grass in the middle. You can see there are holes all over the place, overhanging trees, and it is definitely going to be interesting to see which of these two wants to take this the most. Time is running out for them to make any kind of breakaway and to make it stick, but equally they're not going to want to go too soon because they're not going to want to run out of energy on the other end. Meanwhile, 5 chasers now. Well, we did have 50. We're right the way down here. We've got Lohman, Nielsen, Van der Poel, Ballerini, Kurt Nielsen and DeMarchi in this group. Come to our screen at the moment. Taking a check. I think Ballerini is in there. David Ballerini second from the back on the left hand side there. Kurt Nielsen with number 74 on his back with those big long pink socks on, just tucked on the back of the group. You see Matthew Van der Poel in the Netherlands, that light orange just peeking through the white overlay on top. Taking it in turns as they come in through here, just watching these riders move in and out of the way. Greg van Avermaet, the Belgian rider, now comes to the back on the left-hand side. So they're still taking turns as they come through. So Van Avermaet at the back, Van der Poel on the front, leading them around these turns. A select group of 6 chasers left, chasing our 2 leaders on your screen at the moment, and you can see that transition. It's horrible. Just on the apex of a turn, a real deep hole with a sharp edge onto the asphalt and a lot of debris spilling out onto the asphalt there, and that makes it tricky when you're moving at pace. Now onto the gravel. You can just see there Vermeersch quickly off to the right-hand side, not wanting to stay on there. The bike wriggling around underneath him. And this is one of the differences. Generally on the mountain bike, you've got it planted, you know where you're going on it, it's going to stay where you want it to go. When you're riding a cyclocross bike, that is going to wriggle about all the time if it's muddy, and it's going to move where it wants. You kind of just let it do what it wants to do. When you're riding a gravel bike, a bit different again, because generally you've got more tread on the sides, but you've got a smoother central section, which is faster on the sections of asphalt, particularly today where you're looking for absolute speed in there. So that means that when you go onto the slippery stuff, if you're too upright, you've got no grip. If you lean it over, you're going to have a lot more grip. So knowing how that bike handles and where you're comfortable with what that bike is doing underneath you is going to be key. They've had a long way to find that out. 175 kilometers, well over 100 and odd miles now. But this is when it matters the most now. This chasing a group come onto that same section here, making the way in through. You just see the motorbike going over that bumpy section, and the 6 riders pushing on here, just taking a little bit of a look at the front. It looks to me like we've got our Italian rider on the front, going to lead them in to this left-hand, right-hand chicane. And it's an Italian. What happened to him? So here we go. It is a less than 3K very shortly. 3K coming up for our rider. Less than 2 minutes on there. Here we go. There we are. 3K aboard goes through. And Vermeersch is giving it everything. He's not taking too many looks back behind. He must have been pretty convinced as he looked over his shoulder as he came in around over the bridge, over the dual carriageway, over that twin section of bypass around the town, that he had sufficient gap to be able to open up and continue onwards. So Vermeersch leading out. The Belgian here is going to make history. If he can come in solo, he's going to have plenty of time to celebrate. It also means if he's got enough of a gap, he's going to be able to take his time. We're looking behind for us. There's no sign in the distance behind us. And at the moment, I think Vermeersch is starting to think this is going to be his day at the office. It's going to be his day to pull on the jersey. He takes a little look behind. He's just trying to look in between the motorbikes. Well, sometimes when they give you assistance, when you can find out tyre checks from him at the moment, he's trying to look between them to see where Os is, if Os is coming. Now, if it was a slight mistake, if Os was distanced because of an attack by Vermeersch, Os would have tried to respond to that. He would have tried to get going quickly. But with the gap opening up, either Os's socks have well and truly got blown off him, or he is going to be in big problems mechanically wise, because that gap had really opened up. Well, so we're able to follow our riders there. The gap has got blown into smithereens at the moment. So here we go. Look at that. Vermeesh signaling to the bikes there. Have I got it? Have I got it? What's the time gap? Well, now is the time they're going to track him. That camera bike glued to the back wheel. I'm not surprised as they come in through. More lapped riders being passed on the way in. Don't worry, there's nobody in front of this man. It is Gianni Vermeesh heading up here and making his way into town. Remember, he gets to the defences and takes a right-hand turn. So I think that was 50 seconds to us at the moment. So that's just coming from our motorbike crew. It's 150 to the main pack. Here is us now. I'm just looking to see if there's any damage to him or his bike at the moment. He's looking to me. He's looking tired. He's certainly pushing a big gear around here. But Voss has been distanced. No sign of those wheels bouncing on the rims. And us now is the chaser, the sole chaser behind our race leader. Here he comes. It's Gianni Vermeesh. He's got a big enough gap surely now to take this out. He can take his time. He can pick his line. He can be careful when he comes up to bike markers. Our cameras are smacking into the trees as we come down here. The cameraman wants to be right on the wheel of Gianni Vermeesh. He comes round this turn. Our camera bike just can't make that corner as tight as these cyclists can. Coming around that turn, he doesn't need to help it, but look at this. The pressure is on. Is he going to start to use that rubber grub section as well? Well, he used that on the first time and the second now. He stays on that hard-packed surface at the bottom. He's got 1K to go. 1,000 metres to go to the finish here. Above him is Os. And also surely must know now that his chance of taking a gold medal rests on a major mistake. A massive mechanical is going to have to happen. And I think Os is tired. Look at him locking up the bike on the way down there as he came down that descent. That is a sign that he's not going to get back for me. He's not got the strength. He's not got the pace. So the time check comes up. 27 seconds between the rider on your screens, Gianni Vermeesh, and Daniel Os behind him, and then just over a minute and a half across, then back to the big group of chasers who are fighting it out for third place and the bronze medal here at the UCI 2022 Gravel World Championships in Veneto. The right-hand turn is done. No mistakes by Vermeesh. The motorbikes will try and get around this as quick as they can. They know that they've got Daniel Os chasing hard behind, but Vermeesh now is on to the tarmac. He's going to come down alongside the spectators. He's going to take the left-hand turn. 300 more meters to go. What is he feeling now? It's got to be pure elation, because he knows that there's no way he's going to get robbed of the very first men's elite title. He punches the air. 200 meters to celebrate now. He looks over his shoulder, the professional touch. Belgium are going to take the first UCI Men's Elite World Gravel Championships here in Benito. Gianni Vermeesh takes it away. He comes in and across the line. What a ride. The long breakaway paid off. And Gianni Vermeesh is the world champion as he comes in through the line. It's going to be a silver medal. It will be scant consolation for his long-time comrade in arms, the man who tracked all the way in, and it was only in those last few kilometres that Daniel Os was distanced. It's going to be a medal. It's going to be a silver medal for Italy here. Daniel Os waves to the crowd. I'm not surprised. He takes that in. Breathe it in. Home turf in Italy. Daniel Os, second place, and it's going to be a silver medal for the tall man who comes in and across the line. Here's Bond, not too far away in Trento. That's our first two riders in and done. But remember, we have a big pack behind. You